This is lesson 16, week 16 of 52. We're going to cover 1 Samuel 25 through 2 Samuel 4 and a list of Psalms in our Through the Bible in 1 Year study. Last time we saw King Saul become jealous and turn against David and threaten his life. Many of the Psalms written by David are of this difficult time. In God will I praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. Psalms 56:4. David is still on the run, trying to escape the persecution of Saul and constantly appealed to God for deliverance from his enemies. In my distress I cried unto the Lord, and he heard me. Psalms 121. During this time, David has no one else to turn to except God, which becomes a common theme in this 10-year period of his life. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. Psalms 140, verse 1. Lord, I cry unto thee. Make haste unto me. Give ear unto my voice when I cry unto thee. Let my prayer be set forth before thee as an incense, and the lifting up my hands as the evening sacrifice. 141, 1 and 2. I cried unto the Lord with my voice. With my voice did I make supplications. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. I cried unto thee, O Lord. I said, Thou art my refuge. Psalms 142, 1 through 5. David is on an emotional roller coaster, feeling the fear of capture by his enemies versus his devotion to the God who has preserved his life thus far. And Samuel died, and all the Israelites were gathered together, and lamented him, and buried him in his house at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. 1 Samuel 25:1. At Samuel's death, David was still on the run. At this time, two more wives, Abigail and Ahinoam, were added to the house of David. Previously, he had married Saul's daughter, Michal. 25:39 through 44. Then said Saul, I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will no more do thee harm. I have played the fool. I have erred exceedingly. 1 Samuel 26:21. Then Saul said about David, Blessed be thou, my son David, and thou shalt both do great things, and also shalt still prevail. 26:25. Finally, about 8 years of intense persecution, Saul realized that God had chosen and protected David so that he could be the next king of Israel. Saul no longer sought to kill David, but there was one problem. Either David didn't know or didn't believe Saul's change of heart. And David said in his heart, I shall now perish by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. 1 Samuel 27:1. More twists and turns as David sought safety from Saul, whom he thought still wanted to kill him. Of all places, David fled to Israel's most bitter enemy, the Philistines, believing he might as well die there as to die at the hand of the king of Israel. David, with his two wives, made a pact with the ruler of Gath in the Gaza Strip, Achish, where he would spend the next 16 months, 27:7. Not only did he believe it gave him safety from Saul, but allowed him time to hone his military skills he would later need as king. Given a city, Ziklag, David would form a small army and make skirmishes against other pagan tribes in the area. And David and his men went up and invaded the Geshurites and the Gezerites and the Amalekites, for those nations were of old the inhabitants of the land. And David smote the land and left neither man nor woman alive. 27, 8 and 9. But he was not altogether honest, telling Achish that the attacks were against his own people in Judah. And Achish believed David, saying, He hath made his people Israel utterly to abhor him. Therefore he shall be my servant forever. 27, verse 12. After he became king, David wrote these praises to God for his help when he needed it most. Keep me as the apple of thy eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. Psalm 17:8. Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight me. 35:1. Save me, O God, by thy name, and judge me by thy strength. 54:1. O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land, where no water is. Psalm 63:1. The Philistines began to plan another attack on the Israelites, thinking that King Saul was too old to be an effective leader, and that David had joined the other side. Will David fight for or against Israel? What will Saul do? When Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams nor by prophets. By this time Samuel was dead. 28, verse 5. Since God didn't give him an answer, Saul consulted a witch. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit. Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself. 2 men went with him. He came to the woman by night. I pray thee, bring me up Samuel. 28, 7 and 8. Saul asked the medium to contact the deceased Samuel to know what to do as he faced the Philistines. At first, she feared because Saul had banished the practice, but he convinced her to do so. 28, 9 and 10. Using satanic powers to reach the dead, the medium, believing she would reach a spirit representing Saul, was shocked when Samuel appeared. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice, Eek! And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. 27:12. When the woman described the apparition as an old man covered with a mantle, Saul perceived it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. 27:14. On this occasion, God permitted Saul to communicate with Samuel one last time, but the news was not good. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David, because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me, they will be dead. 28:16 through 19. Samuel told Saul that Israel would be defeated and that he and his sons would be killed. We don't have to worry about the witch of Endor today, right? Right. You do not have to worry about her. The witch of Endor? No. We should with the witch on National Highway, LaVale, Maryland, in our community. Should we consult the powers of darkness concerning our destiny in the universe, like many do to have their palm read or to read tarot cards? There's the phone number, if you choose that way. Or should we choose the God of the Bible, who possesses all truth over the whole creation, including you? You decide. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. 28:1. The Philistine commanders did not trust David, that he might defect, so they pulled him out of the battle before it began. He shall not go up with us to the battle. So David and his men rose up early to depart in the morning, to return unto the land of the Philistines. And the Philistines went up to Jezreel. 29:7 through 9. David was relieved of his duties before he had to decide with whom to fight. And it came to pass, when David and his men were come to Ziklag, the Amalekites had invaded. So David came to the city. It was burned with fire. His wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. David and the people lifted up their voice and wept. 30:1 and 2. Now what? David avenged the destruction of his city and recovered that which was looted, even sharing it with his fellow countrymen in Judah, proving where his real allegiance lay. And when David came to Ziklag, he sent of the spoils unto the elders of Judah, even to his friends, saying, Behold, a present for you of the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. 1 Samuel 30, verse 26. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines, and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa, followed hard upon Saul and his sons. 31:1 and 2. Israel was routed, as Samuel prophesied, and Saul and his sons were killed. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, all his men, that same day together. They cut off his head and fastened his body to the wall of Bethshean. 1 Samuel 31, verse 10. Psalm 18 was written by David after the death of Saul. I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. 18:1. Great deliverance giveth he to his king, and showeth mercy to his anointed, to David, and to his seed forevermore. Psalms 18:50. Next, David contemplated what God had on his agenda for Israel and himself. Behold, he, God, that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Psalms 121, verse 4. So our eyes wait upon the Lord our God, until that he have mercy upon us. Psalms 123:2. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick, when their wrath was kindled against us. Psalm 124, 2 and 3. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about his people from henceforth forever. Psalms 125, 2. The Lord shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life. Psalms 128, 5. Many a time have they afflicted me from my youth. May Israel now say, yet they have not prevailed against him. Psalms 129, 1 through 3. Let Israel hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is mercy, and with him is plenteous redemption. Psalms 130, verse 7. Now it came to pass, after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag, 2 Samuel 1:1. On the third day, a man came out of the camp from Saul. From whence camest thou? Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. How went the matter, or the battle? I pray thee tell me. And he answered, many of the people, the soldiers, are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. 1, 2 through 5. And I took the crown that was upon Saul's head, and have brought them hither unto my lord David. And they mourned, and wept, and fasted until evening, for Saul, and for Jonathan his son, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. 2 Samuel 1, 10 through 12. Despite Saul's harsh treatment of him, David mourned for the fallen king and his son, who was his friend. After the death of Saul. And it came to pass, after this, that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And the Lord said, unto Hebron. 2 Samuel 2, verse 1. God told David to go from Ziklag to Hebron, the city where the patriarchs of Israel were buried. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. 2, 4 and 11. Wanting Saul's legacy to continue, Abner, captain of Saul's army, made Ishbosheth, fire of Baal, Saul's youngest son, king over the remaining 11 tribes of Israel. 2 Samuel 2, 8 through 10. Who do you think God wanted to be king over all of Israel? Joab was the commander of David's army and Abner of Saul's army, and they squared off against each other. When it was over, David lost 20 soldiers and Abner 360. 2 Samuel 2:30 and 31. But it would be a long war between the two factions. Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. 2 Samuel 3:1. Eventually there came a rift between Abner and Ishbosheth over Abner's taking a concubine of Saul, which angered Ishbosheth. Not only did the two part company, as the Lord has sworn to David, even so Abner do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel, and over Judah from Dan to Beersheba. 3, 9 and 10. Abner pledged to make David king over the whole kingdom of Israel, which had been God's plan all along. To make sure Abner was acting in good faith, David made him return his first wife Michal to him. And he said, "Well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter." 3:13, which he did, 3:15 and 16. Because Abner had made this alliance with David, Joab got jealous. When Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him under the fifth rib, that he died, for the blood of Asahel his brother. 3:27. Joab avenged the murder of his brother with the knife killing of his adversary Abner. And when Saul's son Ishbosheth heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. 4:1. The report of the death of Abner, who had defected Ishbosheth and the 11 tribes of Israel, should have encouraged the king in his ongoing battle with David, but it did not. 2 assassins from the tribe of Benjamin went to Ishbosheth's palace and slew the king. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bedchamber, and they smote him, and they slew him, and beheaded him. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David at Hebron. 2 Samuel 4, verses 7 and 8. David did not approve of it, and had the 2 assassins executed. 4:11 and 12. The Lord hath heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. Psalms 6:9. For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hath crowned him with glory and honor. Psalms 8:5. Here David recites a messianic prayer that the Lord will humble himself and become man. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works. Psalms 9:1. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. 10:16. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Psalms 14:1. Paul quoted this in Romans 3:12. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. Psalm 16:10. Peter quoted this at Pentecost, Acts 2:31. Next time, the Chronicles, the history of Israel. We're going to study 1 Chronicles 1 through 10 and a list of the Psalms.